The rain had started as a drizzle that morning, but by the time Maya Rodriguez pulled into the parking lot of Riverside Elementary, it was coming down in sheets. She sat for a moment in her beat-up Honda, watching the water streak down the windshield, her hands still gripping the steering wheel. This was it. The appointment that could change everything. She checked her phone one more time. 8:47 a.m., 13 minutes early. Good. She needed every advantage she could get. Her daughter Sophia sat in the back seat, quietly drawing in her notebook, oblivious to the weight pressing down on Maya's chest. At 7 years old, Sophia was too young to understand why this school mattered so much, why her mom had been waking up at 4 in the morning to work double shifts at the diner, why they'd moved 3 times in 2 years. Maya looked at her in the rearview mirror, at those dark curls falling into her face, at the concentration furrowing her small brow, and felt that familiar ache of fierce, protective love mixed with crushing guilt. "Ready, baby?" Maya asked, forcing brightness into her voice. Sophia looked up and smiled, that gap-toothed grin that made everything worth it. "Are we going to see my new school?" "Maybe," Maya said carefully. She'd learned not to promise things she couldn't guarantee. "We're going to try really hard." They made a run for it through the rain, Maya holding her folder of documents over Sophia's head like a makeshift umbrella. By the time they reached the covered entrance, they were both laughing, breathless, their shoes squelching on the tile floor. Maya smoothed down her daughter's hair, straightened her own blouse, the nice one she saved for job interviews and parent-teacher conferences, and pushed through the heavy doors into the administrative office. The woman at the front desk looked up with the kind of practiced smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Can I help you?" "Maya Rodriguez. I have an 8:45 appointment with Miss Chen about the accelerated learning program placement." The receptionist's expression shifted slightly, something that might have been sympathy or pity flickering across her features. "Right. Actually, there's been..." She stopped, glancing past Maya's shoulder. "Oh, you're both here." Maya turned. A man stood in the doorway, water dripping from his jacket, a little boy clutching his hand. He was tall, maybe mid-30s, with dark stubble and tired eyes that suggested too many sleepless nights. The boy beside him was small for his age, wearing glasses that kept sliding down his nose, his clothes neat but worn in that way that spoke of careful hand-washing and air-drying. "Ethan Blake," the man said, his voice deep and slightly rough. 8:45 appointment." Maya's stomach dropped. She looked at the receptionist, whose sympathetic expression suddenly made terrible sense. "There must be a mistake. I have the 8:45 slot." "So do I," Ethan said, frowning. He pulled out his phone, scrolling quickly. "I got the confirmation email 3 days ago, see?" He held it up. Maya was already digging through her folder, her hands suddenly clumsy, papers threatening to spill. "I have mine right here. It's right..." She found it, thrust it toward the receptionist. "There, 8:45 December 27th. It says so right there." The receptionist sighed, the kind of sound that meant this wasn't the first time the school's administrative system had failed spectacularly. "I'm so sorry. There seems to have been a scheduling error. Miss Chen can only see one of you at 8:45. The other appointment would need to be rescheduled." "I can't reschedule," Maya and Ethan said simultaneously. They looked at each other, and in that moment, Maya saw her own desperation reflected back at her. "I took the morning off work," Maya continued, turning back to the receptionist. "I can't afford to take another day. This is really important." "I drove 3 hours to get here," Ethan said, his jaw tight. "My son's current school program ends next week. We need this placement confirmed today." The receptionist held up her hands. "I understand, but Miss Chen's schedule is packed. If I could just..." "What's actually going on here?" Ethan interrupted, and Maya noticed the edge in his voice, that particular tone parents got when they sensed something being hidden. "Why are we both being called in on the same day for the same time slot? Is there something you're not telling us?" The receptionist's professional mask slipped just slightly. She glanced toward the hallway, then lowered her voice. "Look, I'm not supposed to say this, but there's only one spot left in the accelerated program for the spring semester. Just one." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. One spot. She looked at Sophia, who had found a chair and was now coloring, completely unaware that her entire future might be decided in the next few minutes. One spot for 2 desperate parents, 2 kids who needed this chance. "That's impossible," Maya heard herself say. "When I applied 6 weeks ago, they said there were multiple openings. They said Enrollment was higher than expected, the receptionist said quietly. Budget cuts meant they had to reduce class size. I really am sorry. Ethan ran a hand through his wet hair, and Maya saw his hand was shaking slightly. So what are you saying? That one of our kids gets in and the other doesn't? That's it? Ms. Chen will review both applications and make a decision based on need, academic readiness, and program fit. But yes, ultimately only one student can be accepted at this time. Maya's mind raced. Need? She thought about the eviction notice she'd managed to fight off last month, the medical bills from Sophia's asthma hospitalization that she was paying off $5 at a time, the way her daughter's reading ability had outpaced her school's curriculum by 2 grades, but she was being held back because the public school didn't have resources for gifted students. She thought about the scholarship opportunity attached to this program, the one that could mean a future beyond diners and trailer parks and constantly moving. But then she looked at Ethan, really looked at him, and saw the same desperation, the same exhaustion, the same fierce determination. His son was carefully arranging a small toy car on the table, lining it up with precise, repetitive movements that Maya recognized from Sophia's friend who was on the spectrum. She saw the way Ethan's eyes followed his son, protective, worried, loving. They were the same, she and this stranger, both fighting alone, both running on empty, both trying to give their kids a chance they'd never had. And now they were competitors. I'll wait, Ethan said finally. She can go first, but I need to see Miss Chen today. I'm not leaving without a meeting. Maya felt a confusing surge of gratitude and resentment. Thank you, she managed. Then, because she wasn't sure if she meant it or if she was just being polite, she added, I hope it works out. For both of us somehow. Ethan met her eyes and she saw no malice there, just weariness. Yeah, me too. But they both knew that wasn't how this worked. Someone was going to walk out of here with hope. Someone was going to walk out with nothing. Ms. Chen appeared in the hallway exactly at 8:45. A small Asian woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an efficient manner. Ms. Rodriguez, ready? Maya gathered her folder, touched Sophia's shoulder. Stay here, baby. I'll be right back. The meeting lasted 35 minutes. Maya laid out everything. Sophia's test scores, her reading level, the letter from her current teacher describing her as exceptionally gifted but languishing in a standard curriculum. She talked about their circumstances as carefully as she could, trying to frame poverty as resilience, instability as adaptability. She watched Miss Chen's face for any sign of sympathy or judgment and found only professional neutrality. Sophia's academic qualifications are certainly impressive, Miss Chen said, reviewing the documents. But I have to be honest with you, Ms. Rodriguez. We have another applicant with equally strong credentials. This is going to be a difficult decision. I understand, Maya said, though her throat felt tight. But please understand, this isn't just about academics for us. This program, the scholarship attached to it, it's Sophia's way out. It's her chance at something better than what I could give her on my own. Miss Chen's expression softened slightly. I do understand, more than you might think. But I also have to consider what's best for the program as a whole, what each student brings to the learning environment. She paused. I'll need a few days to review both applications thoroughly. I should have a decision by the end of next week. Next week. Maya calculated rent due, work shifts, Sophia's asthma medication refill. Next week felt like an eternity and no time at all. When she came out, Ethan was standing by the window, his son sitting quietly beside him. They both looked up as the door opened. Your turn, Maya said, and it came out more bitter than she intended. Ethan nodded, started to move past her, then stopped. Your daughter, he said quietly. She's reading Harry Potter. That's pretty advanced for 7. Maya blinked, surprised. She glanced at Sophia, who had indeed pulled out her battered copy of The Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, she burns through books like oxygen. Noah too, Ethan said, gesturing to his son. He's doing multiplication in his head already. Numbers are his thing. For a moment, they just stood there, 2 parents acknowledging each other's kids, seeing the gifts and the potential, the things worth fighting for. Then Ethan went in for his meeting, and Maya gathered Sophia and left, walking back out into the rain that had finally started to let up. That should have been the end of it. 2 parents, 1 spot, a decision pending. But life has a way of tangling threads in unexpected patterns, of forcing people together even when they'd rather stay apart. The next morning, Maya got the call while she was in the middle of the breakfast rush at the diner. The school needed additional documentation. Sophia's birth certificate, proof of residency, immunization records. They needed it by 5 p.m. that day, or the application would be considered incomplete. Are you kidding me? Maya said into the phone, balancing it between her shoulder and ear while she poured coffee. I submitted all of that with the original application. I understand your frustration, Miss Rodriguez, the administrative assistant said, sounding genuinely apologetic. But we're missing several items from your file. There may have been a scanning error. We need physical copies. Maya closed her eyes. The documents were at her apartment. Her shift didn't end until 4. The school was a 40-minute drive from the diner. I'll figure it out, she said, and hung up before the panic could fully set in. She texted her neighbor, asked if she could grab the folder from the kitchen counter. No response. She tried her sister, who worked nights and should be home. Straight to voicemail. She stood in the middle of the diner, coffee pot in hand, calculating impossible logistics when her manager tapped her shoulder. Rodriguez, table 6 is waiting. You okay? Yeah, fine. Sorry. She delivered the coffee, took orders, smiled at customers, all while her mind raced through solutions that didn't exist. If she left early, she'd lose the shift. If she lost the shift, she couldn't make rent. But if she didn't get those documents in, Sofia didn't get the spot. It was at 3:30 in the middle of clearing a table that her phone buzzed with an unknown number. This is Maya Rodriguez. Hi, this is Ethan, Blake. From yesterday? The other parent. Maya froze, plates balanced in her arms. How did you get this number? I called the school. Said I needed to reach you about coordinating our kids' potential orientation. I know that sounds creepy, but I promise I'm not. Look, I got a call this morning too. They need more documents from me. By 5 p.m. Yeah, me too. Maya set the plates down carefully. What's your point? My point is I'm thinking this is not a coincidence. I think they're testing us, seeing who wants it more, who can jump through more hoops. Maya hadn't considered that, but it made a bitter kind of sense. Okay, so I'm going to make it work. I'm driving there right now with my documents, and I know this is weird, but I was thinking, if you tell me where you are, maybe I could pick up yours too, drop them off with mine. I know we're competing, but it seems stupid for both our kids to lose out because of paperwork. Maya's first instinct was suspicion. Why would he help her? What was the angle? But then she thought about Noah's careful toy car arrangement, about Ethan's tired eyes, about the way he'd let her go first yesterday even though he'd driven 3 hours. Why would you do that, she asked. Honestly? I don't know. Maybe because I know what it's like to be one missed form away from disaster. Maybe because your kid deserves a fair shot just like mine does. He paused. Or maybe I'm just too tired to be as cutthroat as I probably should be. Something in Maya's chest loosened slightly. I'm at Rosie's Diner on Highway 42. My apartment's 10 minutes from there. I'll text you the address and tell my neighbor to expect you. Okay, text me. I'll grab it. Ethan? Maya said before he could hang up. Thank you, really. Don't thank me yet. We're still competing for the same spot. I know, but still. He picked up the documents. Her neighbor, despite the lack of response earlier, had been home and handed over the folder with curious eyes. Ethan dropped everything at the school at 4:30, both applications complete, both kids still in the running. That night, Maya found a text from him. Documents submitted. Good luck. May the best kid win. She stared at the message for a long time before responding. Same to you. It should have ended there. But 2 days later, Maya's car died in the school parking lot during Sofia's checkup appointment with the program coordinator. Not died. Actively refused to start, making that clicking sound that meant the battery was gone or the starter was shot or something expensive and impossible. She called roadside assistance. 2-hour wait. She called her neighbor again. No answer. She sat in the cold car, Sofia asking questions she didn't have answers for, and felt the familiar burn of frustrated tears. Then she heard a tap on the window. Ethan stood there, Noah beside him, looking concerned. Car trouble? Maya wanted to lie, wanted to say everything was fine, wanted to maintain some dignity, but she was so tired. Battery's dead, I think. I've got roadside assistance coming, but they said 2 hours. Ethan glanced at Noah, then back at her. I've got jumper cables. Let me see if I can help. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. Pop your hood. It took 15 minutes. The battery wasn't completely dead, just drained from leaving the lights on. Ethan's hands were steady as he connected the cables, explained the process to Noah in the patient way of a parent who turned everything into a teaching moment. Sophia watched through the window, fascinated. "Try it now," Ethan called. The engine turned over, caught, rumbled to life. Maya let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding. "Thank you," she said when Ethan was packing up his cables. "Again, you keep rescuing me, and we're supposed to be adversaries." Ethan smiled, and it was the first genuine smile she'd seen from him. It changed his whole face, made him look younger, less burdened. "Bad at being adversaries, I guess." "The worst," Maya agreed. Their kids had gotten out of the cars and were circling each other with that cautious curiosity of children who might become friends but weren't sure yet. Noah was showing Sophia his toy car, not the one from before, but a blue one with doors that actually opened. "Does it bother you?" Maya asked quietly. "That only one of them can get in?" Ethan's smile faded. "Every minute of every day. But what can we do? Not like we can create another spot." "No, I guess not." They stood there in the cold parking lot, watching their kids, both thinking about futures hanging in the balance. "Can I ask you something?" Maya said. "Why this school? Why this program specifically?" Ethan was quiet for a moment. "Noah's on the autism spectrum, high functioning, but he struggles in traditional classroom settings. Too much noise, too much chaos. This program, they have support structures, smaller classes, teachers trained in different learning styles. It's not just about academics for him. It's about finding an environment where he can actually thrive instead of just survive." He looked at her. "What about Sophia? She's too smart for her current school, but they don't have a gifted program. She's bored, acting out, losing interest in learning. This program would challenge her. Plus," Maya hesitated, then figured they were past the point of pretending. "There's a scholarship component. Full tuition coverage through 8th grade. I can't afford private school on my own. This is our only shot." Ethan nodded slowly. "So we both need it. Different reasons, same desperation." "Yeah." Noah handed Sophia the car. She took it carefully, like the treasure it clearly was to him, and drove it along an imaginary road only she could see. Noah smiled, that soft, pleased expression of a child sharing something precious. "They'd probably be friends," Ethan observed. "If things were different." "They still could be," Maya said. "Even if one gets in and one doesn't. Maybe especially then. The kid who gets in might need a friend who understands what a big deal it is." Ethan looked at her with something like respect. "That's a really mature way to look at it. I'm too tired to be petty. Life's hard enough." "Amen to that." They exchanged numbers before leaving. "Just in case," Ethan said, though neither specified in case of what. Maya drove home with Sophia chattering about the boy with the cool car, and she found herself thinking about Ethan more than she should have, about the way he'd helped without hesitation, about the tired kindness in his eyes. 3 days passed. Maya threw herself into work, picking up extra shifts to make up for the time she might need to take off for school meetings. Sophia started asking every day if they'd heard about the program yet, her excitement and hope a weight on Maya's heart. Then, at 11 p.m. on a Thursday night, Maya's phone rang. Unknown number, local area code. She almost didn't answer, bill collectors usually called earlier, but something made her pick up. "Ms. Rodriguez, this is Memorial Hospital. We have Ethan Blake here in the ER. You're listed as his emergency contact." Maya's heart stopped. "What? There must be a mistake. I barely know him." "He said to call you. He's conscious and stable, but he was in a car accident. He's mostly worried about his son, Noah. Says the boy's with a neighbor, but he needs someone to check on him." Maya was already pulling on shoes, grabbing her keys. "I'm coming. Tell him I'm coming." She called her neighbor to stay with sleeping Sophia, promised she'd be back soon, and drove through the dark streets with her hands tight on the wheel. Why had Ethan listed her as an emergency contact? They'd exchanged maybe 3 conversations. Unless he had nobody else. The hospital was bright and antiseptic, full of that particular middle-of-the-night quiet. Ethan was in a curtained-off area in the ER, his arm in a sling, a cut above his eyebrow neatly bandaged. He looked exhausted and embarrassed when he saw her. "I'm sorry," he said immediately. "I didn't know who else to call." "What happened?" Maya pulled a chair close. "Are you okay?" "Fender bender on the way home from work. Completely my fault. I was too tired, missed a red light. Other drivers fine. My car's totaled. I'm bruised but nothing broken. He grimaced. But Noah's at Mrs. Patterson's apartment and she's 83 and she has a heart condition and I can't ask her to keep him overnight. But they want to keep me for observation because I hit my head. I'll get Noah, Maya interrupted. Tell me where Mrs. Patterson lives. I'll bring him to my place for the night. Ethan stared at her. You do that? You don't even know him. He's 7 years old and his dad's in the hospital. Of course I'll do that. Maya pulled out her phone. What's the address? Mrs. Patterson was indeed 83, frail and worried, clearly relieved to hand over Noah to someone Ethan had approved. Noah himself was quiet, clutching his backpack, his eyes red from crying. Maya knelt down to his level. Hi Noah, I'm Maya, Sophia's mom, remember? We met at the school. Noah nodded, not making eye contact, his hands twisting the straps of his backpack. Your dad's okay. He's just tired and the doctors want to make sure he gets some rest. You're going to stay at my place tonight with Sophia. Is that okay? Another nod. Maya took his hand gently, thanked Mrs. Patterson, and led Noah to the car. At her apartment, Sophia was awake despite the late hour, excited to have a surprise guest. Maya set Noah up on the couch with blankets and a pillow, made him hot chocolate despite the late hour because he looked like he needed comfort more than sleep. My dad's really okay? Noah asked quietly, his first full sentence. He really is, Maya promised. I saw him. He's got some bruises, but he's fine. You'll see him tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, Noah said. We're supposed to hear about the school program tomorrow. Maya's stomach clenched. She'd almost forgotten in the chaos. Yeah, we are. Do you think your daughter will get in? Noah asked, and there was no competitiveness in the question, just curiosity. I don't know, sweetheart. Do you think you will? I hope so. My dad says it's the best place for me. Noah looked at her directly for the first time. But if Sophia gets in instead, that would be okay too. She's nice. Something cracked open in Maya's chest. This child, in the middle of his own crisis, worried about his father and hoping for his chance, was still able to extend grace to a competitor. What did that say about Ethan? About the kind of parent he was? The kids fell asleep eventually, Noah on the couch and Sophia in her room. Maya texted Ethan updates, photos of Noah sleeping peacefully, reassurances that everything was fine. Around 3 a.m., Ethan texted back, They're letting me go, but I can't drive. Can I crash on your floor until morning? I'll call a cab after that. Maya responded immediately. Come here. I'll pick you up. She drove back to the hospital, found Ethan waiting outside the ER entrance, looking pale and unsteady. She helped him into the passenger seat, saw him wince at the movement. Thank you, he said quietly. For everything, for Noah. For this. I don't know how I'm going to repay you. You helped me twice already, Maya reminded him. Consider us even. Back at the apartment, she made up the couch next to where Noah slept. Ethan sat down heavily, looking at his son with such raw love and relief that Maya had to look away from the intimacy of it. He okay? Ethan asked. He was scared, but he's tough. Sophia kept him entertained. Maya handed him water and pain medication. You should rest. I should let you rest. It's the middle of the night and you have to work tomorrow. Day off, actually. Maya sat in the armchair across from him. Neither of them seemed ready to sleep despite the exhaustion. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why didn't you have anyone else to call? Family? Friends? Ethan was quiet for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, Noah's mom left when he got his diagnosis. Said she didn't sign up for a complicated kid. My parents are dead. Her parents think I took their daughter away somehow, like autism is contagious or something. Friends. I had some, but you find out pretty quick who can handle the reality of single parenting a special needs kid and who can't. He smiled bitterly. Turns out most people can't. I'm sorry. Don't be. I've got Noah. That's enough. But the way he said it, Maya heard all the loneliness underneath. What about you, Sophia's dad? Never met him. One night thing. I found out I was pregnant after he was long gone. My family's not around. It's just us. Maya shrugged. So I get it. The alone thing. They sat in the dark apartment, two people who'd started as strangers, then competitors, now something else entirely. Something that felt like understanding, like kinship. We're pretty bad at this rival thing, Ethan said after a while. Maya laughed quietly. The absolute worst. If Noah gets in, then Sophia and I will be happy for him. For you. And if Sophia gets in, you'll be happy for us, I know. Ethan met her eyes. When did we decide that? I think, Maya said slowly, when we both realize the other person loves their kid just as desperately as we love ours. Hard to hate someone who's fighting the same fight. Not hate, Ethan agreed. Never hate, but competition, rivalry. Seems small now compared to this. Maya gestured around the quiet apartment at Noah sleeping peacefully, at Ethan bruised but safe, compared to the fact that we're both just trying to survive and do right by our kids. The decision letter came the next afternoon. Maya was at the apartment with both kids and Ethan, who was moving slowly but insisting he was fine. The mail arrived at 2 p.m. Maya saw the envelope with the school's return address and felt her stomach drop. It's here, she said. Ethan looked up from where he was helping Noah with a puzzle. The decision? Yeah. Maya held the envelope like it might explode. I don't think I can open it. Want me to do it? No. Yes, I don't know. She sat down at the kitchen table, the envelope in front of her. Sophia and Noah had stopped playing, sensing the importance of the moment. This is it. Everything we've been fighting for. Ethan came to stand beside her, his good hand resting on the table. Whatever it says, we'll figure it out, okay? Maya looked up at him. How? If Sophia gets in and Noah doesn't, how are you going to be okay with that? If it's the other way around, how am I? I don't know, Ethan admitted, but I know we're not going to let this break our kids' friendship, or ours. We have a friendship, Maya asked, and she was only half joking. I think we do. Weird, disaster-bonded, middle-of-the-night kind. But yeah. Maya took a breath and opened the envelope. She read the letter once, twice, couldn't believe what she was seeing. This doesn't make sense. What does it say? It's not a yes or a no, it's a... She read it again. It's a request for a joint meeting, Monday morning, both families. It says they've reviewed both applications and want to discuss options. Ethan frowned. Options? What options? There's one spot. I don't know, but we're both supposed to be there. Maya looked at the letter again, searching for clues. Do you think this is good news or bad news? No idea, but I guess we'll find out together. The weekend passed in a strange limbo. Ethan's car was indeed totaled, and his insurance would take weeks to process. Maya drove him to pick up a rental, but the cost made him visibly pale. She saw him calculating expenses in his head, the same math she did every night. Rent, food, medical bills, now a car payment he hadn't planned for. Let me help, she found herself saying. You've already helped more than enough. I mean with rides, until your insurance pays out. Sophia and I can pick you and Noah up, take you where you need to go. It's not a big deal. Maya, don't argue. We're going to the same places anyway. The school meeting Monday, probably more after that. Just let me help. He looked at her for a long moment. Why are you doing this? We're still competing. One of our kids is going to lose. I don't know, Maya admitted. Maybe because I'm tired of competing. Maybe because it feels better to help than to fight. Or maybe... She paused, surprised by the truth that wanted to come out. Maybe because I like you. Both of you. And I don't want to be enemies. Ethan's expression softened. I like you too. Both of you. This would all be easier if I didn't. Yeah, it really would. They took the kids to the park on Sunday, despite the cold. Sophia and Noah played together easily now, their friendship solidified by the unexpected sleepover. Maya and Ethan sat on a bench, watching them, not talking much, but comfortable in the silence. I keep trying to prepare myself, Ethan said eventually, for Noah not getting in, trying to figure out what we'll do, where we'll go. But every scenario ends with me failing him somehow. You're not failing him. You're doing everything you can. Is it enough though? That's the question that keeps me up at night. Am I enough? One parent, limited resources, a job that barely covers rent. Is my love enough to make up for everything else he needs? Maya understood that fear intimately. I ask myself the same thing every single day. What's your answer? That love is all we've got, so it has to be enough. It has to be. She watched Sophia push Noah on the swing, both of them laughing. And looking at them, seeing how strong and kind and brave they are despite everything, maybe it is. Maybe we're doing better than we think. Ethan reached over and took her hand. It was a simple gesture, nothing romantic, just connection. Understanding. Two people in the same storm holding on to each other. Thank you, he said. For that. For this weekend. For not treating me like the enemy. You were never the enemy, Maya said. Just another parent who loves their kid. That's not something to fight against. They sat like that for a while, hands linked, watching their children play, neither acknowledging that Monday's meeting might change everything, might split apart this fragile alliance they'd built from desperation and surprising grace. Monday morning came too fast. Maya dressed carefully, made sure Sophia looked presentable, and picked up Ethan and Noah as planned. The drive to the school was quiet. Both adults lost in thought, both kids sensing the tension. Miss Chen met them in her office, which was bigger than Maya expected, with bookshelves lining one wall and children's artwork covering another. She gestured for them to sit. Thank you both for coming, she began. I wanted to meet with you together because I believe the situation calls for transparency and collaboration rather than competition. Maya and Ethan exchanged glances. Collaboration? Ms. Chen continued. I've reviewed both applications thoroughly. Noah and Sophia are both exceptional candidates. Noah's mathematical abilities are remarkable, and his unique perspective would enrich our classroom discussions. Sophia's reading level and creative thinking are well above grade level, and her enthusiasm for learning is evident in every document. She paused, and Maya braced herself for the but. The challenge is that we genuinely only have one funded spot in the accelerated program. However, after meeting both of you, hearing your stories and seeing your dedication to your children, I took the liberty of presenting your cases to our board of directors. Maya's heart was pounding so hard she could hear it. The board was moved by your situations, Ms. Chen said. Both of your situations. And they've agreed to something unprecedented. They're going to create an emergency scholarship fund specifically to cover a second spot in the program. Maya felt the world tilt. What? Both children can be accepted, Ms. Chen said, smiling now. Both scholarships will be honored. It required some budget restructuring, and the board had to approve an additional allocation, but they agreed it was worth it to serve both of these deserving students. Ethan made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Are you serious? Completely. There are conditions, of course. We'll need both families to participate in our parent involvement program, attend quarterly check-ins, maintain certain academic standards. But if you're willing to meet those requirements, both Noah and Sophia can start in January. Maya was crying and didn't care. She looked at Ethan and saw tears streaming down his face too. Their kids watching them with confused hope, not quite understanding what was happening but sensing it was something big. Both of them? Maya managed to say. You're sure? I'm sure. The paperwork is already prepared. If you're ready to accept, we can process everything today. Yes, Ethan said immediately. God, yes. Yes, Maya echoed. Thank you so much. They signed papers in a daze, Ms. Chen explaining program details that Maya only half heard through the rushing in her ears. Both kids, both accepted, both given a chance. The competition was over because there were no losers, only two families who'd fought for their children and somehow impossibly won. Outside the school, standing in the parking lot, Maya and Ethan looked at each other and then simultaneously started laughing, that slightly hysterical laughter of people who'd been holding their breath for too long. I can't believe that just happened, Maya said. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up. The kids ran ahead to the car, already making plans about being in the same class, sitting together, sharing lunch. Maya watched them, her heart so full it hurt. We should celebrate, Ethan said. All four of us. Dinner tonight? My treat. You don't have to. I want to, please. Let me do this. They went to a family restaurant, nothing fancy, the kind of place with crayons and kids' menus. They ordered too much food and ate slowly, savoring the moment, the relief, the joy. Sophia and Noah colored together, their heads bent close, while Maya and Ethan talked about logistics, start dates, supply lists, schedules. But underneath the practical talk was something else, something that had been growing in the spaces between crises and kindnesses. Maya found herself noticing things about Ethan, the way he listened completely when Noah spoke, the crinkles around his eyes when he smiled, the careful way he made sure everyone had enough food before taking more for himself. I'm glad it's both of them, Ethan said at one point. Not just because Noah got in, though I'm grateful beyond words for that, but because I couldn't imagine having to see Sophia not get it. Couldn't imagine you having to deal with that disappointment. I was thinking the same thing, Maya admitted. About you and Noah. Somewhere along the way, I started rooting for you too. Terrible rival behavior, Ethan teased. The worst, Maya agreed, and they smiled at each other across the table, something warm and new passing between them. After dinner, as they were walking to the car, Sophia and Noah running ahead, Ethan caught Maya's hand. Can I tell you something? Sure. These past few days, even with the stress and the accident and all of it, they've been some of the best I've had in years. Because I didn't feel alone. I felt like someone understood, like someone had my back. He squeezed her hand gently. That someone was you. Maya's breath caught. I felt it too. The not alone thing. I'd like to keep feeling it. If you're open to that. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe we could do this more. The four of us. Not because of the school, not because of emergencies, just because we want to. He smiled, nervous now. I'm saying I'd like to take you on an actual date. Without the kids. Just us. Maya's heart was doing something complicated in her chest. A date? Too fast, too weird, we can forget I said anything. Yes, Maya interrupted. Yes, I'd like that. A lot. The smile that spread across Ethan's face was worth every difficult moment that had led them here. They dated slowly, carefully, both of them cautious with hearts that had been broken before. But between them was a foundation that most couples took years to build. They'd seen each other at their worst, most desperate, most vulnerable. They'd helped each other without expectation of return. They'd chosen grace over competition. Their first official date was at a coffee shop, and they talked for 3 hours about everything and nothing. Their second date was a movie, holding hands in the dark. The third was cooking dinner together at Maya's apartment while the kids did homework at the kitchen table. By the time the spring semester started and both children attended their first day of the accelerated program, Maya and Ethan weren't just co-parents navigating the same system. They were partners, a team, something that was starting to look like family. Maya dropped both kids off that first morning, Ethan beside her because his rental car had finally been replaced. They watched Noah and Sophia walk into the school together, backpacks bouncing, chattering excitedly. We did it, Maya said softly. We really did. Ethan put his arm around her shoulders, pulled her close. Together. Together, Maya agreed, and the word felt like a promise, like possibility, like the beginning of something neither of them had thought they'd find. Life wasn't suddenly perfect. Money was still tight for both of them. Single parenting was still exhausting. But they had each other now, had someone to call when things got hard, someone to celebrate victories with, someone who understood without explanation. They had started as competitors, two desperate parents fighting for one spot. But through helping each other, through choosing compassion over rivalry, through seeing each other's humanity before their own need, they'd found something more valuable than any school placement. They'd found home in each other. 6 months later, on a warm evening after parent-teacher conferences where both kids received glowing reports, Ethan took Maya's hand as they walked to the car. I have a question, he said. Okay. My lease is up next month, and I was thinking, we spend so much time together anyway, all four of us. Noah and Sophia are practically siblings already. We could get a bigger place, split costs, make things easier for everyone. Maya stopped walking. Are you asking what I think you're asking? I'm asking if you'd want to move in together. As a family, the four of us. He smiled, nervous and hopeful. I love you, Maya. I love Sophia. I want to wake up every morning with all of you. I want to make this official, real, permanent. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Yes. God, yes. They kissed in the school parking lot while their kids watched from the car, making exaggerated, grossed-out faces that couldn't hide their excitement. Later that night, after the kids were asleep, Maya thought about how far they'd come. Two strangers, two desperate parents, one impossible situation. They should have been enemies. They should have torn each other apart in competition. Instead, they'd chosen kindness. They'd chosen to see each other struggle. They'd chosen to help rather than hinder. And in doing so, they'd found not just a solution to their immediate problem, but a solution to the deeper problem both had been living with. The loneliness, the isolation, the exhausting weight of carrying everything alone. They'd found each other. And that was worth more than any school placement, any scholarship, any victory won at someone else's expense. That was everything. If this story reminded you of the power of compassion over competition, of choosing to lift others up even when you're struggling yourself, I'd love to hear from you. Share this story with someone who needs to remember that we don't have to fight alone, that sometimes the person we think is our rival is actually our greatest ally. And if you believe in more stories like this, stories that show the beautiful, messy, complicated reality of real human connection, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe and join this community. We're all in this together after all. Every single one of us just trying to do right by the people we love. Let's keep reminding each other of that. Let's keep choosing grace.